Hey there everybody, Thet here and welcome to Thet Plays Iratus, Lord of the Dead. Iratus is from Unfrozen and Daedalic Entertainment. I believe is it Unfrozen's first game? Don't quote me on that. Don't ever quote me. But anyway, I played a little bit of this game already. I'm loving it so far. So I wanted to show it off to you guys and show you what I love. In Iratus, you play as Iratus. He is a necromancer, as you can see. He raises the dead and becomes their lord, as you can see. Basically, this story begins after his most recent failure, let's call it, and he has broken his bonds and he is ready to rise from the underground and bring his undead armies upon the land of the living and the heroes above. Yet they want to stop us. The game brings together some elements from Darkest Dungeon, as well as some elements from roguelike instance games such as Slay the Spire. You'll get a better idea once we're in it, but the battles are I love what they did with the battles. It's like Darkest Dungeon turned on its head. But let's stop telling you and start showing you. I already played the game quite a bit. This is actually my second save on this slot. I may have beaten the game once before. It's supposed to be extremely hard, but it is an early access, so it gets hard. It'll get harder. I'm hoping there's more balance to the harder difficulties, but I have beaten it on the medium one, which is what we're going to play today. More pain. Stronger enemies than Cakewalk. More elite enemies. Enemies can get inspired, and then average vigor recovery for minions, excuse me, outside of battle. Minions, of course, are your guys. Let's start. All right, and I'll show you the intro video as well, because I think it's really cool.
Life is a disease. A millennium ago, a supreme necromancer was on the verge of conquering the world. But you know what they say about best laid plans. Inevitably, heroes shall emerge. So, I was made dead. Again. But what does death really mean for somebody who has mastered it? Boredom. An eternity to ponder my errors and how close I came to victory. I am a mortal, but when this world ends, even I will know oblivion. And so, I ask myself, will I be given another chance to rise before it happens? Another chance to fulfill my ambition? It seems that fate has smiled after all.
Anyway, very nice loading screen as well. For a game that's in early access, I am digging the heck out of this so far. Loving the art style. This is Iratus here in the middle. Behind him is his graveyard. Here we have a bunch of buildings, bringing a little bit of persistent upgrades into the game. You have some, well, semi-persistent. Obviously, they're not persistent between saves. Different buildings you can construct to give Iratus more things over time. For example, the library gives you extra 35 experience after every victory in battle for Iratus. He can level up, and his minions can level up. There's actually a lot of mechanics here, but I'm going to try to speed through some of them quickly. Every building requires a minion to be sacrificed, and then some architect souls to actually build it. Yeah, and each of them have different upgrades. That's the gist of that, to be honest. The mortuary here is starting with a spot open. If you put a minion in here, like, boop, he would heal fully after the next victory. These only pay off after a victory in battle, and I think that's a little annoying. Understandable. Maybe you could have like a half as effective if you don't get a victory. Would help stave off the game over mechanic. But yeah, it's all balancing and depends on how Unfrozen wants that to happen in the future. Now let's take a look around us to see what we have going for us. First of all, we have our artifacts over here to the right. We do start with one. A little bit of RPG elements here. There's actually a lot of RPG elements, such as leveling up and equipment. We got a sickle to start with. If the cumulative level of my minions in battle is less than 10, Iratus gains 100 extra experience after a victory.
Now I will make mortals tremble before me. Well, even more than previously.
I do love Iratus' voice actor. During the battles, he gets some choice quotes. All my minions down here are level 1, so I'll easily be above the required level. Moving on, we're going to do this one last. Over here to the left, we have our talents, and you have the quick bar for it up at the top, too. Talents are points that you get every time Iratus levels up, and you can spend them on alchemy upgrades, magic, which is like usually buffs or debuffs in battle, ire, which is usually a different form of buff or debuff in battle, usually more damage focused, either buffing damage or something like that, and destruction, which is usually damage of some sort. Alchemy is mostly passive upgrades. I'm actually going to start off with amateur surgeon, which means we get 10% extra parts at the end of a battle.
The formulae reveal their secret.
You'll learn more about what that means after a battle. Alchemy allows us to take these parts. As you can see, we're in a crypt, so there's skulls, it's rags, weapons, flesh, armor, all just lying around, as you do. We can combine them together to make more powerful versions. For example, if I go ahead and take flesh over here, fill in 2 pieces of flesh, boom.
Ah, the smell of successful alchemy.
Now I have some uncommon flesh, which gives extra attack power. Right now, all the upgrades that they get, like if I combine 2 more, it might not be attack, it might be something else. It's a little bit random. Don't worry about it. It's not actually a screen I visit that much, even though maybe that's my problem. We can also extract 2 different types to get any kind of items that we can equip on our minions to increase accuracy, damage, etc. And finally, there's transmutation. You know, spoot 2 weapons in here. Maybe it comes out as armor, or maybe turn into blood. I think you could pick, yeah, what it becomes. So I could turn weapons into armor, and probably armor into weapons. No, bones into weapons. Okay, sure. I haven't actually studied that one too much. And finally, before we go down here into the dungeon, let's look at creation. Creation is where we can create, wouldn't you know it, our minions. Previously, all the minions past at Mummy and all the way down to the bottom were locked, and I had to unlock them by doing certain things in game, but don't worry about that right now. I mean, you got everything from your bottom basement skeletons to your zombies, which are not your normal zombies, because these ones have cannons. Go figure. To brides of Iratus, who are archers. You know, you got infested, which is, I think, right now still exclusive to the supporter pack, which I did buy for this game, because this game is, I'm loving it. So let's say I want, we have a team down here with a bride, a skeleton, a zombie, and a dark knight. Dark knights are pretty cool. But let's say I want to make a new team. Let's say I want a lich. Obviously, Necromancer would want a lich. These aren't like regular liches, though. As it says, it's not really a true lich, because true liches would be, you know, powerful. But they're pseudo ones that borrow some designs of necromancers. We just hit the fill button here. Fills in everything that we have from over here. We could also select it manually, but that's too much work. And we just craft the lich.
Ooh, a vessel of indiscriminate magical carnage.
Nice. You can have up to 4 teams ready to go at once. So let's go ahead and make a... Let's see if we can get a full team here. Let's get a Wraith, maybe for the 3rd position. And we can discuss the actual classes at a later time. Let's see. Who should back up this team a bit more? I'm thinking a skeleton would fit into this team. And then maybe another Dark Knight in front. There you go. Now we got 2 teams available. Alright, with all that said and done, this is the Humanitorium. You can collect lore on all your enemies. Don't worry about that for now. Let's head into the dungeon. The kingdom had need of vast riches buried underneath the castle. Great veins of iron that promised to fuel conquest after conquest, along with ancient artifacts from a long-forgotten age. The dwarves were eager to offer their services in this project, bringing the untested mining equipment and experimental concoctions for the promise of wealth. They only needed bodies that could obey. and that the humans could provide. With dungeons filled to the brim with both criminals and rebels, there was no shortage of slaves to work these mines. Drugs were used to keep them docile as they dug ever deeper, year after year, unaware of the mortal danger that awaited them below. Basically, we're what happens when you dig too deep in Dwarf Fortress. Anyway, we're starting down in the mines, then there's the dwarf tunnels, and then there's the mercenary barracks, and then there's stuff that's going to be available after release, because, you know, early access. You have a map. This is where the, my brain wants to say Slay the Spire inspiration, but I think that's cheap to this game, because this kind of mechanic existed way before then as well. You know, a map where you choose what path you go. We start with here, this battle, and then you can just branch off. I don't like the fact that you are basically stuck on a path. I get it, game mechanic wise, but I would love to see a mode where you can actually go back and clear out the rest of the dungeon, partially just to see how strong you get. But I totally get it if that just doesn't fit the theme they're going for. Before we move on to this battle, we have to choose our squad. I'm going to go ahead and choose Squad 1, and then jump onto this battle, which appears to have 3 enemies on it. And then we get into the battle screen. Like I said, this first episode is basically a tutorial. Zombie carries Big Boom, by the way. And the conscript is fast. Yes, you're fast too, show off. He gets 1 year off for every dead one he slices up, by the way. So this is the combat screen. Characters look awesome. For the most part. The Bride is the fastest on our team. There's a lot of stats. This game is chock full of stats. So you get attack, which is how much physical or magical damage you do. They both use the same attack stat, which I guess is a little bit of a relief. Dread, which is how much stress damage they can do. Accuracy, evasion, kind of self-explanatory. Evasion and accuracy basically play off of each other. Luck is your chance for a critical hit. If someone has negative luck, there's a higher chance that they get critically hit, which I think is a neat way of using luck. Armor reduces physical damage. Resistance reduces magical damage. A block can completely remove or nullify a regular attack, but then it reduces the amount of block you have. Ward is the same thing for magic. By the way, I've noticed that crits actually completely ignore block and ward. And then initiative determines what order you go in. Thankfully, you do have this order thing at the top of the screen, so you can always see what order you go in. Okay, cool. That's a brief overview. Let's go ahead and knock out this conscript, this hunky boy, and then this conscript. Shouldn't be too bad. We're just going to go ahead and use a couple of chest piercer arrow shots. If this crits, it does extra damage. And the hunky has 35 luck. Holy crap. But no evasion. There you go. A little bit of damage. Skelly boy here, we could have them run forward with show them their place. Knocks enemies back and interrupts whatever stances they're in. We'll see stances later. Embrace mediocrity, which gives armor and resistance to someone until the battle ends. Really, actually, pretty strong buff. And smite, which does 2 attacks, dealing 50% of his normal damage. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a double hit on the hunky here. Like I said, I'm playing a little surface level right now, but that's fine. Nice miss. The Dark Knight is a little different here. He starts with a good amount of resistance and armor. Heartless Slash does half of his attack in regular damage, but then adds half of his armor and resistance to whatever damage he does. We also have Hollow Stare, which is a stress attack. Dark Tithe, which moves him backwards, and then boost Iratus' mana and wrath. Mana is in the center here. It's this big old orb. Use it for magical moves, and also to move your dudes around, which is weird that it takes mana, but whatever. Dark Tithe also removes any debuffs that the knight might have. We also have available Futile Hopes. Every time an enemy receives a buff, the Dark Knight does stress damage to it. It's pretty strong. For now, let's just keep slapping. All right. There is no Death's Door mechanic, thankfully, for the heroes. So as soon as their health reaches 0, they're dead. Zomboy here is pretty interesting. We got a Volley, which is a magical shot. Buckshot, which does damage to the chosen target and 2 enemies behind it. So I can hit all 3 of them by targeting the front enemy. Igniting Mixture, which uses a magic damage to 2 enemies, and then sets them on fire for 60% of the magic damage for 3 turns. And then More Powder, which doubles his damage for the next attack. How much health does this hunky have? 32? Let's burn him up. There we go. Now they're ignited. So at the start of their turn, there you go. You see some damage. Weak hits from these conscripts. They're not worth too much. Not compared to us. Now we have a certain amount of wrath, which is the red bar around the mana. I could use the skeleton's ultimate attack if I wanted to, which was Shield Banger. He bangs his shield and it does stress damage to everyone. It's actually not that bad if you're going the stress route. That should actually cause him to bleed out on his turn. The Bride has Chest Piercer, which we saw before. Overwatch, which basically has her go into a stance, and then whenever an enemy is moved around, forward, backwards, whether they move themselves or you move them, she does damage to it. It's actually pretty good. Think of him. She's the Bride of Iratus, of course, so thinking of Iratus gives her extra attack and dread. Warning Shot, which is stress, and then Rose for Lady, which is damage to all enemies that guarantees a crit. Sounds a little broken. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, especially since crits, just like in Darkest Dungeon, do a little bit of stress damage, which is the black damage up here. And now, as you can see, both enemies have about 40 stress out of 50. You see that down here. Health, stress, and the bottom one, the percentage, is their chance to try to run away instead of continuing to fight. Let's go ahead and actually do a hollow stare on this conscript in the front. All right, it missed. Good job, my dude. Not the strategy I was looking for. Let's shoot this boy. Here we go. I want to see if I can get a stress mechanic in here. Yeah, 1 year off for everyone you sliced it up. I know. Pop. Boop. Okay. Now we're down to just this boy. Let's see if we can stress him. Let's use the Warning Shot. There you go. We got his stress down low enough. He has gone insane. His insanity is Betrayal, which means 75% chance when he moves that he'll attack one of his allies instead of an enemy. Of course, he has no allies, so that doesn't do much for us. Every time we stress him, his chance of running away gets bigger. We're gonna use more powder here. I'm gonna keep stressing this boy. I'm showing off mechanics, okay? Let me be. One more Warning Shot. He now has 0 sanity left. He's trying to run away still. He's going to run away at the start of his next turn. What does 0 sanity mean? Well, it means, other than the chance of escaping going as high as possible, any stress attack from now on has a chance to give him a heart attack. So we're obviously going for it. Holy crap! Or the zombie can just do 50 damage. A heart attack does instantly kill an enemy.
I hate to see plants using it as fertilizer.
But damn, that was a good shot. We got some souls. We got an uncommon piece of flesh. This is actually a really good haul for the first fight of the game. Spiked bracers. I don't know what that does. And we got a level 3. Well, apparently a 30 IQ brain. No, a level 3 brain. You could put brains in your dudes. So if I took this Dark Knight here, made him look swooed with the supporter pack. You don't have to do that, of course. This flesh gives 2 luck, by the way. If I put this brain in him, he would be level 3 instead of level 1. I might keep that for a new minion. We'll see. Let's make this whole team look like the supporter group. Some of these are really nice looking. There you go. You know, you can also rename your dudes. So, for example, if I wanted to rename the skeleton Perish, because, you know, I have the feeling he would appreciate being, you know, a skeleton. So he can welcome enemies to the bone zone. You can do that. What does this bracer do? Each time Iratus uses a spell, a random enemy receives 15 physical damage. That's awesome. Yo, give me a spell. Sorrow. 20 stress damage to the target. All minions gain 2 initiative. Whip moves a minion 2 positions forward and causes them to gain extra accuracy for 1 action. Nah. Stoke the Flames. All ignition effects last for 1 more turn. Amok. Minion loses 12 luck and gains attack and dread until the end of the battle. Does not stack. Nah, let's go for damage. Let's go for Spine Bomb. Sets a trap. Explodes in 2 rounds, dealing 50 magic damage. Let's grab that. Alright. Now that we have that, we can continue on in the dungeon. We have a chest that can contain artifacts, or a grave that can contain a dormant minion. I think we're going to go toward the artifact. We're going to take Team 2 on the next mission. Lancet. Enemies are 10% more likely to drop parts. Seems pretty good. A warding pendant. All minions gain ward. Oh man, that's good. That's a free resistance to a magic attack. Or war drums. All minions gain 3+ initiative for the first 2 turns. That's kind of good as well. I want this warding pendant though. Yeah, toss it in with the rest. And by that I mean, can we equip it right away? We can. Pendant slot. Yeah, 2 accessory slots. We have an armor slot, a weapon slot, and then we have a temporary item slot, which is a 1-use item. All right. Take team 2. Let's take them to this fight. 4 enemies. Looks like 2 conscripts in the back and 2 miners. They're not too bad. Destiny is sealed. Sinister Strike. That's a stance. So he's going to stand around, and then on the start of his next turn, he will do damage to a random target. The one in the back tried attacking my Wraith here, but my Wraith had armor. Excuse me, he had block. And he still has 1 point of block left, as you see in the bottom right. So he will negate the next regular attack on him, too. All right, Skelly boy. Let's actually embrace mediocrity here and make our Dark Knight a little bit more armored. Because remember, every time he gets armored, his attack goes up, too. Ooh. Try to double attack. Not too bad, Miner boy. Miners are pretty weak. Conscripts are even weaker physically, but they do have high potential damage. Now, with this team, we don't have as many move arounds as I would like. We don't have as many buffs as I would like either. So I think our best move is to just do damage with the Dark Knight. Ah, that's right. The miners start with 1 point of block, too. That hurts. There's also these little stars down here, which means that the creatures have some special attribute, like the Dark Knight cannot be crit against, which is amazing. And the skeleton is immune to all buffs and debuffs, which is amazing unless you want to buff him. And it's terrible. The Wraith specializes mostly in stress. Cold Grasp is a magic attack, which can also prevent the target from moving. Necrotic Wind deals a lot of stress damage, 24 to 28, and it removes all the target's buffs, and they lose all initiative for a turn. Ghostly Fire deals damage to 1, or stress damage to 1 enemy and whoever's behind it. And it curses them for 2 turns, so they take stress for a couple of extra turns. Evolution moves us forward. By us, I mean the Wraith, and gives him additional 8 dread until the end of the battle. And then Ghostly Veil summons a concealing cloud for 2 rounds. Any minion within the cloud receives a whopping 25 evasion. Let's go ahead and start with Necrotic Wind. I wonder if that'll take away the stance. I don't think it will, but let's find out. Lowering his initiative's good, too. The miss is not as good. Yikes. The Lich is an interesting character. He has Bone Charge, which deals a lot of damage, but you can't target it. Or I should say, you can't choose the target. He'll deal damage to a random enemy. Command Undead. He sends someone forward, usually to the front, giving them a boost of 14 attack and dread for 2 turns. Sacrifice kills an ally, but then heals everyone else. It's one of the few heals that the necromantic side gets. Don't worry, he can actually summon his own skeletons. So if this skeleton disappears, we can just summon another one using the Lich once we have enough wrath. Rain of Fire costs a little bit of wrath, but also damages everyone else, including allies, and also sets them on fire. So we do have a ward on everyone. I could technically use this right now to burn everyone. And Toxic Cloud is actually a pretty good stress attack. But let's use Rain of Fire since it's free. And I don't think any of these enemies have any magic attacks. So eat it. Missed the guy in the back, but ooh, there was his stab from his striking stance. Luckily he went after the Spectre, which was immune to a single attack. Skelly boy, let's go ahead and continue to buff up our Dark Knight. An extra 4 to both his armor and his resistance is an extra 4 damage to his regular attack. So this dude hitting a lot harder every turn. Only thing I'm worried about is the skeleton's health right now, but that's okay. Hopefully I won't have to worry about that for long. Let's try this again. There we go. He lost all of his initiative for a round. He lost a lot of sanity from that. We can't rain of fire again. I mean, we can, but we'd hurt ourselves. So in this time, let's go ahead and command the undead. Make our Dark Knight a little bit stronger. He is untouchable by these miners at this point. And because he's immune to crits, they probably will never be able to touch him for the end of this battle. That might be the end of our skeleton, though. Yep. Okay, that did give them a little bit of their sanity back. That's okay, though. We do have access, that gave us a lot of wrath, to our ult. The Dark Knight has an amazing ult. All enemies lose 12 health. Notice it doesn't say it does damage. So armor resistance means nothing to the Dark Knight with this move. He then restores health based on how much damage he did. That's amazing. That is absolutely insane. We don't need it right now, though, because this boy slaps for 28 damage. Feed the void. Wraith. His ultimate is Terror Wave. Affects all enemies and deals stress damage and makes them randomly swap positions. It's nice. I don't think we need it right now. Let's go ahead and do a double stress attack. Throw down some of that stress over time. And our Lich is going to use 65 of our Wrath to bring back a skeleton. This one is temporary. He will disappear at the end of the battle. But that's okay. That just means we can sacrifice him with no problem. He went insane from the curse. What is that? Insanity? Panic. He moves faster now. He gained initiative, but he lost 50 accuracy. He gained a little bit of evasion. He has a chance to skip his turns from going forward. Skeleton gets to show them their place, too. Let's waste that armor. There we go. Moved himself to the front with that. The miner went insane. He's now hopeless, which means he does very little damage, apparently. Let's see. Loses all blocks. Removes all ward. Loses all armor and resistance. And he does half damage, and he has minus 25 luck. Hopeless is pretty bad. Doesn't help that the reanimated skeletons from the Lich have extra armor, resistance, and attack. That said... Ooh, so close. Alright. Let's keep that... Let's use this. Yeah, let's keep that stress going up. This guy might have a heart attack soon if he doesn't just get killed by the Lich. Damn, that hurt. That was a hell of a crit. Oh, come on, show me a heart attack. That's all I want to see at this point.
This one voided its bowels just as it died.
Gross. One in the back has betrayal. He has a chance to hurt his allies. Hollow stare. Let's see if we can stare at him to death. Not quite. Wow, this guy's hanging on hard. You know what? Let's get us some health, because we don't automatically restore health after the battle. So, alley-oop. Sacrificed. Healed our Wraith. But don't worry, though. He can re-stress them. Even though they did gain sanity back, that took it away again. You can't hurt my Dark Knight. One of the backs trying to run away. We should probably go ahead and slap it. Throw down a dark cloud behind it. There we go. There goes his resistance. And here, hopefully, goes his health. Oh, the miss! That hurt. Go for it. There's a heart attack. One in the front got a heart attack. Okay. This one, I think he's going to run. Yeah, he's out of here. Dang it. I mean, Iratus loved it, but I don't like the fact that we lost out on some materials, but that's okay. It is what it is. So we did lose that skeleton, but that's fine. If we can get enough wrath, Lich can always just summon another one. All right. So that's a little bit of Iratus. About 30 minutes of it. I love this game. I'm going to play some more of it. Don't worry. Yo, you want to be a minion? Let me know in the comment section below. Tell me, what have you seen so far? If you've seen anything so far you'd like to be. A Lich, a Wraith, a Dark Knight, a Zombie. You want to see the other ones real quick? Okay, fine. We also have a Banshee. No, you don't actually get to see them, though. An Infested. A Mummy. A Headhunter. A Shade. A Blood Phantasm. A Lost Soul. An Unfrozen. And the Black Widow. So yeah, let me know if you want to see... Well, if you want to be here, I should say. If you want to be part of our undead army. That is going to be it for this episode of Thet Plays Iratus. Get ready for some more, because it's going to keep coming. Oh, and it might not stop coming. But if you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe for more. And I will see you in the next video.